Hello, hello, hello. We are live for another Smart Coffee Chat. I am Amber, your host and founder CEO of SMARK. You can find us at ThinkSmark, SMARK, Inc., Inc.com. We are all things personalized for your business experience from growth to sustainability. You can find everything you need in one platform to help you grow your business or help support a business. I'm here with Heather Twasson with arenacfo.com. All things fractional accounting work, all the way to CFO. If you're looking for someone to help you manage your cash flow so you don't have to call the IRS all the time, Heather is the best person here. And then, of course, we have the lovely Dr. Sakira Jackson. Get your mind right, get your money right with intentional growth, intentional CEO. And we all are so excited to be back here for another month of coffee chats, smart coffee chats. I should know this because it's literally my company. um, as you all know, Smart is taking a little hiatus, but we thought it'd be fun to just continue conversations as we revamp and have a whole new fun launch later on in the year to talk about business education and things to help you and support you where we can. So today we are talking about key success factors and operational values. And one of the things that's really important about both of those is we are now out of Q1. We're moving into Q. We are in Q2, so that means that's April, May, June for some people, or you're ending your Q4, right? This is the end of a business year, or you're kind of in starting the swing of like, okay, what did January, February, March show us? What are we looking to do going into the next couple of months? And so we're going to open the conversation around key success factors and what key success factors really are, and how you can maintain them, whether you're an individual, own a company, or you run a department. So let's go ahead and start with both of you all's perspectives on key success factors.
You want me to go? Okay,
Ooh,
so
we are not live.
it says live.
Welcome to Smart Coffee Chats. And for the last 5 minutes, I thought we were live, but now we are. And welcome, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, or wherever you're watching us. My name is Amber. I'm with SMARK. Oh, we're live. We are live. I don't know what just happened, but there was a glitch. It could have been the, eclipse delay. I don't know. Anyway, we're live. Welcome to another Smart Coffee Chats. I'm Amber Payton. I am the founder and CEO of SMARK. ThinkSmarkInc.com. All things personalized for small business. We have Heather Twasson with arenacfo.com. Anything from accounting to CFO, fractional work, they are here to support at an affordable rate for small businesses. And then we have our lovely Dr. Sakira Jackson, money mindset, business psychologist, and coach. And we are so excited to have everyone here for another Smart Coffee Chats. Again, we are every first and third Wednesday of the month, and we talk everything business education to help you support a department, support your own company, or actually your own individual solo career. So let's get started. Apparently, we were already live. I don't know what happened, but we're just going to jump into it. Ladies, talk to us about key success factors. Heather, when it comes to money, what are key success factors? What does that look like? Dr. Secure operations, mindset, leadership. What do key success factors look like?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get started, Amber. From a financial standpoint, it is critical that you plan in so many ways. We've talked about this a number of times. 90% of businesses out there in the United States do not have a financial plan. And what I mean by a plan is how they're going to spend money and how they're going to make it, in addition to how much they're going to spend to get how much they're going to make. So both really forecasting out the revenue you expect month over month over month, and the expense base. So 90% of businesses don't know what's going to happen to them. They just are basically riding the waves of their business in so many ways. Well, when you make a plan, it can drive action and drive you to make decisions that can help you be set up for more success than you otherwise would have. So I always encourage every business to set up a financial forecast. We have a free one on our website. Feel free to visit that today. It's listed under the tools section, and we can also assist with helping create one for your business. But that is the first place I would start. You create a business plan as you start your business on what you want to sell and how you want to go to market. And then fast follower to that is how you're going to make money, what you expect to make, and how you expect to spend money to make it.
It's funny when we talk about key success factors. You hear it all the time, and people will say, what's my KPIs? What are my KSFs? But when I think of success, I think of it from the perspective of, have you thought about how to measure whether you're being successful or not? And a lot of that is just how you think about what success is. One of the biggest things that I found in coaching executives and leaders of companies is that they're using old success measures, meaning what you wanted when you were 18 versus when you're 38 is very, very different. So then when you try to measure that in your company and you're still using an old success measurement, it's hard to determine. We have the measurements of the numbers in terms of revenue, the numbers in terms of the people that are showing up, the number of clients that you have, the number of leads that you get. These are all things that you can measure. But what if your mindset is still stuck on how you measured success before? What if you had said when you were 18, when I get to be a millionaire, I'll be successful? And now you're 38 and you're a millionaire a couple of times over. Then inside, you will feel like you're not being successful because you have not updated your key success factors personally. Success factors are things that you want to identify in terms of growth. So you want to look at, how do I grow from where I am to where I want to be, both financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and how do I grow my people? Those are key success factors that don't necessarily get written down, but are measures that impact how you think about whether your business is giving you as the leader what you wanted. And it's critical to know, what is it you want from the business? Because if you're working in this business and you don't know what you use as a measure for success, you will always be behind the 8 ball. And the other key success factor is to have in between measurements. So if you have a measurement of, I want to reach $500,000 in sales this year, you also want to have some in between measurements that allow you to know if you're on the right path. So don't just look at the numbers of how many sales that you made or how much you made in revenue. Also look at whether you had to hire additional people and measure that, how many additional people, and then how much revenue will come from those additional people. And then measure how many new clients are you going to get in the quarter, in half a year, in the end of the year, because all of those types of success measurements will help you stay on the path to success.
Great. And I love that when we talk about mindset and we're specifically with key success factors, like, or dealing with operational values, it literally starts with how you see yourself, how you see the company, and how you want leadership. How do you want people to run your organization?
Yes.
And I think we can talk a little bit more about that, specifically around like, let's start with like sometimes a problem, right?
What would be the problem? You
Like
never look at what you
people,
want.
yeah. So the problem, like one of the problems, like when it comes to money mindset, right? Like Heather, Dr. Secure, what are ways that you've seen that have become an issue when people are saying, I want to make money, I want to make money, I want to make money. Why am I not making money? Why are people, I don't get why they don't get it. Like, what do you think is happening in those moments as leaders when we have that mindset?
I'll get started. I think there's I think one thing you're trying to get at, Amber, is like if we define success and key success factors, we also need to know what failure looks like. And I can tell you that there are a number of times I see businesses that fail operationally in so many ways, and they're trying their hardest and they have the best idea out there. And sometimes I think I'll give one anecdote here, and then I'll pass it over to Dr. Sakira for more. But one is that businesses tend to either under or over process themselves. And what I mean by that, you hire people too fast, that then creates a hierarchy process, creates team meetings, creates a rhythm around the office. You then have rent expense. It immediately jumps you off a cliff of really getting to a point where you've over-indexed and you've hired too many too fast. So I've seen that happen. I've also seen the approval process that an entrepreneur, and this happens a lot, I think, just because of the type of people who become entrepreneurs. They like control, and it's very hard to let go of control. And so what they do is they want to approve everything. Like everything has to pass by them, which can actually slow down the organization from getting stuff done. And so I would just say that I have seen a lot of businesses over processed. The other thing is that the time is spent on adding control mechanisms when it should be spent on really planning for the future in so many ways and paying attention to the numbers. And to Dr. Sakira's point, creating the metrics and the milestones to achieve those metrics over time and really paying attention to them instead of actually trying to get ahead of controlling where money is going or controlling what behaviors are happening on the marketing team, the sales team, et cetera. So that is maybe my little antidote on what could go wrong and create some failure to avoid that you might want to think about as you set your company up for success.
So what if
It's
somebody says they don't have the time? Like I just got these deals. Like I don't have the time to sit there and focus on all of these things. Like I have to hire because I have to get the clients, going, or I have to meet these sponsorship expectations. I don't have the time to worry about culture. What would you
Um,
tell?
the funny thing about time is the one thing that if you don't plan it, it's going to get away from you. And if you don't plan the time, then you won't manage the time. And so if you don't manage the time, you're not managing your results. And all of that is foundationally because you're missing the growth mindset. You think you have the growth mindset because you're trying to get sales, sales, sales. But a growth mindset looks at how can I grow and identifies the aspects that you need to have in place to grow. One of the things I want to circle back to not Amber, Heather said that is foundational for business psychology is identifying what type of leader. And everybody's heard these terms, but nobody really thinks about it in terms of a narcissist, a paranoid, a histrionic, or a compulsive. You hear those things, right? But you don't think of it in terms of leader. Now, as business psychologists, when we're looking at the business, we say the business rots from the head. So if the head is narcissistic, they're trying to control everything and take um, whatever that is, the accolades for everything that happens. But then you also have a histrionic soul that if anything happens, great or bad, they're like, right? So that's because they don't have the controls, because they don't have the systems. Or you have the paranoid people who are in control of everything because they're worried about what's going to happen. More sales, more clients, more leads. They want all of that. But what they don't have are the systems and the success factors so they can measure it, so they can calm down, so they can relax. Or you have a compulsive leader that they're compulsive about one thing, sales, or they're compulsive about marketing. But the other pieces, the finances, the human resources, like to your point, either hiring too many people too fast, or the operations and process, they didn't put it in place. So then when they're compulsively focused on leads, or sales, the other parts fall apart. So no matter how you look at the business, you have to have all of the pieces. And so that mindset of a leader that's looking at all five pieces and owning what's going to come out of their business every day, whether it's, we're going to get 5 new leads, we're going to get 5 new converts from leads to prospects, we're going to get 10 new conversions from prospects to actual customers. And then how do we keep getting those customers? How do we turn them over? How do we make that into a continuity program? And willingness to hand it off, but not just hand it off into a process. All of those pieces are measurable and they're key success factors, but it's underlined by the owner, the leader, the manager, the CEO's mindset of how do I grow this whole process.
Yeah, Amber, I just add to what Dr. Sakira is saying about everybody's personality at the top is different. I'd add also that there are some very modern solutions for the problem of I don't have time, and having a vendor or a fractional person on the team or a contractor that allows you more flexibility and stepping into an unknown space as far as growing. Those are some conservative ways to get going. There are more aggressive ways, like when you have line of sight to to a large contract or a large set of customers coming your way. There are times when you should make the leap of saying it's time to hire and get this company set up to be able to absorb that future work. But at the same time, if there's any uncertainty there, easing into that with fractional vendors or contractors to until you're ready to take them on full time. And until you're ready is hard to define in a lot of ways, but that's what makes us leaders. Is we get to the point where we're wanting to do right by the employees by giving them the right perks and benefits, and we want to show them that we have faith that they can carry our brand forward.
Yeah. I think one of the other things about that, just to wrap that up, is Heather, is one of the key things when you're handing off is remembering to not just give responsibility to people, but give them the authority as well. So when you hand it off and you're trying to let go of that responsibility, you can't just give somebody responsibility without allowing them to have the authority to make the decision. So coming back to that control issue, if your mind is that I have to control everything, then you're not going to let go of the authority. And so everything has to be approved by you. But letting yourself be willing to trust yourself in having made a good hiring decision for that person so that then you can hand it off freely, knowing that they have the understanding of the process, the understanding of the end goal, the measurement and management tools that they need so they can then be responsible for what you're wanting to hand off to them.
I like that. And I think it's really important because there's oftentimes, I think both of you guys hit it right on the head about control. And people, from my experience, it seems like people like to brag about, oh, I'm a control freak. I like to know what's going on with every part of my business, or some do not literally know how to back up. And I've seen leaders literally their teams lose money, they lost good employees, they've actively like been unable to achieve goals because the leader does one or two of those things, which plays into some of those breakdowns of behavioral issues or problems that people generally have. So then the question is, how do they identify if they are a part of it? How can you tell when there's that problem, right? And in a leader, and how can they self-assess? And then how do we course correct that? What does that look like to course correct? Both either one of you can.
Well, if I were to speak to it, I'd say it's a mindset issue, and it needs to be a mindset shift. The challenge for leaders in terms of identifying which um, type of leader they are is that you're asking yourself to evaluate your own behavior. And a lot of times you're too close to do that. But what happens is that if you're a histrionic, or if you're a narcissist, or if you're any of the types of leaders, what's also interesting is that those behaviors start to show up in your team. So while you might not be able to identify it in yourself because, quote unquote, you're a control freak and there's different types of control, what you are able to do is identify the challenge in some of your team where they have the difficulty for either taking responsibility for things that have gone wrong, or they tend to take responsibility for all things that have gone right and not give any of the credit or any of the accolades to their team. So creating a team where there is a feedback loop so that we
Mhm.
look at what has happened, what kind of results are we getting, going back to our tools of measurement, our success factors, and then creating an environment where we sit down and review what is happening so that you can connect the dots. We did this type of action, we got this type of result. What did it take? Or what do we need to adapt? What do we need to change? I tend to talk about 5 key reasons why you need to align your operational values with the results that you're getting. And those are making sure that you embrace the challenge, make sure that you're allowing your people a space to learn and develop. So if they have the authority and the responsibility, helping them learn and grow, and looking to do that for yourself, making sure that you have that feedback loop so you're getting the communication and then adapting to whatever needs to be adapted in between there. So if I looked at it and we saw we were doing some things wrong in this space, how do we shift it? What do we need to um, do that will allow us to get better results in the long term? And finally, making sure that we focus on long term goals. Because if we know where we're going, that's where we're going to, and we've looked at these success factors along the way, we can check, measure, and monitor to make sure that we're going towards that final goal. Whether that be personal growth for my team, whether that be adding new clients, adding new income, adding new sales, but making sure that I focus on it strategically in terms of the actions that we take to grow the company.
I like that. Go ahead, Sheila.
Yeah, I'd also add, so if you are a self-proclaimed control freak and you run a business, so that means you self-identify that you have control, not issues necessarily, but desires, right? That you desire to control the things that happen in your company, and rightfully so. You created that company in so many ways. But being able to self-evaluate when that holds your company back is the critical element, not necessarily that you're a control freak. So I would say that the self-evaluation is important. And then further, like just really analyzing what is it that you need control around. And there could be opportunities for you to relinquish some control if it's possible within your team. And a couple of ideas to do that are, if really ask yourself, what needs to be true for me to be comfortable with somebody on my team running payroll? And allowing that to, really that conversation with yourself to happen. What needs to be true for me, and I've gone through this same internal debate, is I need to know the total number coming out of my bank account. I don't want to guess and criticize or negotiate with somebody on their hours spent. I want my employees to feel like that they can be trusted in the number of hours they submit that they work. And so I want the feeling of trust that's a part of my kind of culture that I want to set with my team. So for me to be comfortable, I just need to know the amount coming out of my account in total. So I've set that up with my team, and now somebody else does payroll, and I just get that total figure before it comes out of my account, so that I am aware of my cash flow. And that's really, I got to the heart of why I needed control over that. And I was reviewing everybody's time card. So really asking yourself the second and third order questions are important to help really self-evaluate and see if a control tendency is something that's holding your company back.
Can I add one thing? And it's in line with our new company program called ownyour24.co. It's specifically for seasoned professionals and CEOs who want to shift their life. And a lot of that is because they've maintained so much control over the company that they don't own their 24 hours. So they can't really take a vacation. They can't really leave anybody in charge of anything. They don't trust that the managers are going to manage the team that they've hired. And so they can't really own their 24 because they aren't able to let go.
Mm-hmm.
And in owning your 24, you start to ask yourself, what is this business supposed to give me? Am I trying to create a legacy? Am I wanting to be able to walk away from this company and still get a check? Am I willing to or wanting to hand this over to my children or to my vice president or whomever? And when you start to do that, you have to, as you say, Heather, self-evaluate. Like, how much of my time am I giving to this company in such a way that I don't have my life? So it asks you to ask yourself, what do you have as a vision? And then ask your managers and your team, what do they have as a vision, so you can have a shared vision and they can know that you're trying to move out. You're trying to take yourself out of this company and have a life, or reconnect with your husband or your wife or your children, or have where you work 20 hours a week. I had a guy that I worked with who literally was working 70-hour weeks when I started with him. And his goal, he wanted to be a pastor, and his goal was to only work 20 hours a week. And he was working 70. Well, 70 and 20, that's a lot of difference. But over the course of 2 years, we were able to hire enough staff so that he could hand it over to managers and pull back. Not only did he get to those 20 hours a week, he moved to Florida and is running this company, which is in Chicago, from Florida, which is what he ultimately wanted to do. But it was about really stopping all this control where your fingers are all in all the pies. And nobody could be able to run the business as good as he could. And that goes back to trusting yourself to make good business decisions in your hiring, in your finances, in your operations, in your process, and in your sales. And if you can do those things, then you can start to step away and you can start to communicate it to your team. But it requires you to have a level of self-awareness, a level of communication, and make really good decisions.
Well, and I think one of the, because you hear this a lot from people, that, nobody's going to run my company like me. And I really had to sit with that because, to be honest, most people don't need to run their company. like literally the day to day. Like, and it's funny to me because you hear that a lot, and even people give wisdom like, no one's gonna run your company the way you would. And it's like, it's actually, no one's gonna maybe value the company the way you do. But the value is the culture, but that doesn't mean you're in the day to day. And actively, like, I operationally, I know, I was just talking to Heather about this before we hopped on here. I cannot stand being in the day to day. Like, I know I need somebody. Like, I'm actively like acknowledging, like, I am one of the entrepreneurs that is like, I like multiple businesses, but I can have a GM or an operations person, right? But even then, it's like, it's sometimes you don't want somebody to run it like you.
That's a good point because
You don't want somebody to run you. You're not running it well. Like,
you may not your strong suit may not be operations. One of the coolest tools we
right.
use in the mastermind is an assessment from Rocket Fuel, and
Mhm.
it assesses whether you are a visionary or an executioner.
Yep.
And so if you're a visionary, you're probably the person that's going to see all the big picture and all of
Yeah.
those things. But
Yeah.
that day to day, like making sure that all the people connect together, making sure that all the operations connect together is not your strong suit. When I brought
No.
on my chief of staff, then I had him do the visionary, the rocket fuel assessment. I was so excited because he was like 88% executioner. I mean, 82% visionary. Like, I am just like, don't make me do all of those little things because
Yeah.
you're going to be mad. So
Yeah.
I get that, and it's something that we actually do in our program is have people do that assessment so you can identify where you are, because it's
Mhm.
critical to know what type of leader you are so you can know what type of people you need to hire.
That's right.
Absolutely. 100%. And I think, even though we didn't deep dive into different types of key success factors, I think this was a good conversation because the mind, you have to answer that first,
You
because
do.
then you won't be able to really like identify your key success factors, because then you won't know who to really hire if you don't know where your strengths are first.
Yeah, I
So
think
both a
it's
self-evaluation and an exit strategy.
oh
Yes.
my God, yes. Yes. And that exit strategy is the thing that makes a difference when you're talking about owning your 24. Because if you know you want to leave and you know when you want to leave, then you can start to figure out, how do I structure my company so that I can be set to leave next year or 5 years or 10 years from now. It will, in a sense, be a success factor, because if you can successfully leave in the time frame that you wanted to leave, you have to have certain actions and certain milestones that you have met in
Mhm.
order to be able to exit the company at the time and during, at the peak of where you wanted it to be. So it is actually a key success factor.
I love it. Well, we are at time. It has been 30 minutes and we need to hop off of here. We are apologize for the delay. But I thought this was a great conversation. It was just a little bit um, more mindset, talking about what it means to be a leader, because that is extremely important. And this is something that can be applied to being an entrepreneur. Maybe you're in C-suite and you're listening right now, or you're manager, department head, even chairing an event. When you're leading, we need to be very intentional about like how and what we're doing when we're setting milestones with other people. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from this, and just being mindful of how we impact other people. And that first step is looking at ourselves. So, do you all have any final words before we hop off of here?
No, keep chugging along.
What they
Everybody
say,
has a
trade.
great business idea, and it's really trial and error until you get to the point where you have a successful business. And there are many tools out there. I think SMARK, Arena CFO, Own Your Own CFO, or Intentional CEO, that Dr. Sakira supports businesses with. And the only reason we're here is because we want to see you succeed.
And I'd say, remember that failure is a part of success. If you're not doing anything, you can't fail, but you can't succeed either. So
Absolutely.
you need it. Don't be afraid of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. Well, we are at time. This was a great conversation. You can catch this episode on YouTube as well as on Smart's LinkedIn page. And we will be back next week. Actually, we won't. There's a whole new crew of guys that will be doing the third Wednesdays of every month. And they are talking cybersecurity, sales, customer success, and what that looks like when it comes to integrating them and creating more automated programming and systems to generate money, which is always the topic of conversation. Um, Again, I'm Amber with ThinkSmartInc.com. We have Heather Twasson with Arena CFO and Dr. Sakira Jackson with Intentional Mind. And it's currently launching ownyour24.co for C suite, shifting their mindset into the next stage of their lives. If you have any questions, you know where to reach us. And thank you so much and have a wonderful hump day.